I want you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine that you are standing on the edge of a dark, wild ocean. You cannot see how deep the water goes, only hear its steady roar. And you feel the cold breeze on your skin, not knowing whether you will step in or remain frozen on the shore. That moment when nothing is certain, when the unknown beckons, when silence surrounds you, is the moment when your self truly meets itself. Today, I want to speak to you about that meeting, about the power of silence, of self-control, and of love in a world full of noise, about Stoic motivation, Stoic relationships, and the intimate tension that exists between passion and restraint, about how courage and calm must dance when two souls come together, and how, even in the face of desire, we can remain masters of ourselves. There is a voice inside you, quieter than a whisper, but stronger than any storm, the voice of reason, the voice of character. It calls you to be more than what the world demands. It calls you to act not out of reaction, but out of purpose. This voice is Stoicism, and when it grows strong, it turns your silence into a source of infinite power. Because in silence you learn to listen, to your own heart, to your partner's heart, to the deeper currents that guide both. In that listening, you discover something profound, that relationships built on control of self, on virtue, on calm courage, are far more enduring than those built only on desire or fleeting passion. Think of the most intense relationship you have known or dreamt of knowing. There is passion, of course, a fierce desire, a hunger to be close, to touch, to know. But there is also fear, fear of losing yourself, fear of giving too much, fear of being consumed. A Stoic mind doesn't deny that desire. A Stoic heart doesn't reject passion. Instead, we learn to welcome it without surrender. We learn to walk toward the fire, but to hold ourselves steady. We learn that love is not weakness. It is perhaps the greatest test of strength. When two people come together, each with their own inner world, their own values, their own shadows, the tension arises. You may feel the urge to shout, to demand, to cling. But Stoicism teaches you something different. Speak, yes, but calmly. Act, yes, but with purpose. Love, yes, deeply, but without losing your footing. This tension, this delicate balance, is where a relationship becomes sacred, powerful. It's where intimacy is not just about bodies touching, but about souls knowing. You might ask, how do you do that? How do you hold the fire of desire in one hand and the quiet strength of reason in the other? The answer lies in self-knowledge. A Stoic does not stumble blindly into love. A Stoic pauses, reflects, prepares. When you enter a relationship, you don't just bring your attractions, you bring your character. You bring your discipline, you bring the willingness to face discomfort and to sit with silence. You bring the courage to see your fears, to face them, and to go forward anyway. Self-control is not denying your nature. It is understanding it. It is the recognition that desire can serve virtue. It can drive you to become better, to act more wisely, to treat the person you love not as an object, but as someone worthy of respect, someone with their own dignity and their own light. In a Stoic relationship, sex is not a mere act. It is a sacrament, a place where two minds, two hearts, two wills meet. But before that meeting, there must be trust, there must be silence, there must be an unspoken promise. I will not lose myself in you, and I will not let you lose yourself in me. And so you learn to wait. You learn to build intimacy not only through spoken words, but through shared quiet. You learn to watch the way she breathes when she is lost in thought. You learn to feel the strength in his hands when he holds you. You learn to see the unsaid things in each other's eyes. That silence is not emptiness. It is fertile land. It is where deep roots grow, where respect grows, where a bond is born that neither time nor change can easily break. In this journey, you will confront yourself. You will face your fears, fear of rejection, fear of vulnerability, fear that love might demand that you give more than you can, or that you might be consumed by it. But Stoicism says, be brave. Courage is not the absence of fear, but acting in spite of it. To be with someone fully, you must risk being hurt. But to retreat out of fear is not strength, it is escape. And you are not here to run. You are here to meet the waves, to face the darkness, to find your center, even when everything around you shakes. There is a deeper reason we practice self-control, not just for ourselves, but for the sake of love, because love that is guided by virtue does not destroy, it elevates. A relationship rooted in discipline, in silence, in respect, becomes a sanctuary, not because it is calm all the time, but because when a storm hits, when jealousy, anger, doubt, or passion swirl, it is anchored. Two people grounded in Stoic wisdom can hold steady, speak honestly, and rebuild stronger. I want you to imagine a moment in the night. You lie side by side, close enough to feel each other's breath, far enough that silence stretches between you like a vast sky. The moonlight filters through the window. Neither of you speaks right away. There is a tension, something unsaid, something potent. Every heartbeat feels like thunder in your chest. You want to speak, but you restrain. Instead, you close your eyes and breathe. He reaches out, she responds. Fingers touch, skin whispers, but still the silence remains. Not the awkward silence of distance, but the soft, charged silence of connection. In that silence lies trust. In that pause, you are telling each other, I don't need to fill the space with words. I don't need to demand or to prove. I trust you, you trust me, and in that trust, something powerful is born. Because love, real love, is not just about devouring each other. It is about nourishing each other. It is about standing side by side even when the storm comes. Now, some may call this Stoic approach cold. They may say it lacks spontaneity, that it is too controlled, too intellectual. But that is a misunderstanding. Stoicism is not about freezing your emotions. It is about channeling them. It is about having a fire inside you, yes, but learning when to fan it and when to hold back. When you restrain not because you fear your desire, but because you honor the person you love, that restraint is itself a flame. A quieter flame, but a steadier one. In a world that shouts for attention, where every moment is broadcast, every emotion amplified, the Stoic relationship stands apart. It is not built on spectacle but on substance. It does not seek validation but fosters virtue. When you share your life with someone from that place, you are not performing, you are being. In the deep hush of early mornings, in the long shadows of midnight, in the unspoken embraces, you find your real power. And this power is not limited to romance. The same principles you apply to love apply to everything, to your ambitions, your friendships, your work. When you act from self-mastery, from virtue, from willingness to face discomfort, everything becomes richer. Your relationships are not just about pleasure, they are about meaning. Your goals are not just about success, they are about service. Your silence becomes not weakness but wisdom. Now, think of some crisis you fear in your relationship. Maybe you worry that if things get hard, you will lash out. Maybe you fear that passion will overwhelm reason. Maybe you fear being too much or not enough. What if I told you that Stoicism gives you a way through that crisis? That by cultivating inner resilience, by practicing self-reflection, by learning the art of restraint, you can meet the greatest storms with calm, clarity, and love. Meeting crisis with calm doesn't mean avoiding the pain. It means welcoming it, understanding it, and acting from purpose. Suppose you argue. Suppose words are said. Suppose one of you withdraws. A Stoic does not react impulsively. A Stoic pauses, a Stoic breathes, he listens, he asks, what am I feeling? Why am I reacting this way? What do I truly value in this moment? What is the kindest, most honest path forward? He does not blurt out accusation, he offers truth. Not a truth that wounds, but a truth that heals. Not a demand, but a request. Not a punishment, but a plea. And she, in return, learns the same. She meets his calm with her strength. She meets his silence with openness. She meets his restraint with trust. Both of you realize that this tension, the tension between passion and calm, between words and silence, between desire and discipline, is not a weakness to be fixed, but a sacred space to be honored. In that space, you choose each other again and again, not because you must, but because you want to. Not because you are desperate, but because you are deliberate. This is the heart of Stoic love, a deep, deliberate surrender. Not surrender of self, but surrender to virtue. Not surrender to desire, but surrender to possibility. Because love that lasts is not born out of pure heat. It is forged in the cold. It is tested by pain, by silence, by grief, by time. And when it endures, it becomes something greater than either of you alone. It becomes a shared fortress, built of mutual respect, generosity, honesty, and strength. I want you to remember that you are not your passions. You are not your fears. You are the observer. You are the architect of your character. When someone looks at you, when someone touches you, when someone reaches out, they touch not just a body, but an inner citadel. And that citadel can be gentle or strong, open or guarded, but always self-possessed. And when you let another in, you let them into that citadel, seeing and being seen, but never losing the integrity of your own soul. There will be nights when desire burns so brightly that it threatens to consume you. There will be moments when anger surges like a wave. There will be times when silence stretches unbearably, and words feel too precious or too dangerous to speak. And yet you must not retreat, you must not hide, you must not yield completely. You must stand in your truth, speak your truth, and in doing so, invite her to stand in her truth, speak hers, and mutual trust to grow. In the darkest hour, when fear whispers that you will fail, or that love is too much, remember, the Stoic does not reject difficulty. He embraces it because virtue grows in the struggle, because silence becomes a mirror, because restraint is freedom, because love, when guided by reason, becomes more than a flame, it becomes a light. And here is one of the greatest gifts of Stoicism in relationships: patience. Not the passive waiting of someone who is resigned, but the active endurance of someone who knows that the best things, the deepest bonds, the most profound union cannot be rushed. You learn to walk slowly toward each other, to build trust day by day, to share your fears, your dreams, your darkest places, and to do it knowing that you are safe, that your partner is not just a lover but a guardian of your soul. You realize that being stoic does not mean being unfeeling. On the contrary, it means feeling more deeply, more honestly. It means feeling the full weight of love, the full force of desire, and still having the grounding to say, I will not lose myself. I will not betray my values. I will not abandon what is good and true in me. And because I hold myself, I can hold you. There is a kind of intimacy in that steadiness, a magnetism that draws people not because of drama, but because of authenticity, not because of noise, but because of depth. When you show up with your own strength, not as a gladiator, but as a calm warrior, you invite someone worthy. Someone who sees you not as a conquest, but as a partner. Someone who is not overwhelmed by your fire because she has her own. Someone who trusts you because you show trust, who listens because you do, and who gives because you give. And that trust, once built, is unshakable. It weathers storms, mistakes, impulses. It knows that even when things go wrong, when one of you stumbles, you can rebuild. Because the foundation is not superficial. It is built on virtue, on character, on self-control, on calm hearts. I want to remind you, as you navigate relationships, you are not defined by your successes or failures in love. You are defined by how you face yourself. If you face your fears, you grow stronger. If you embrace your desires, you grow wiser. If you stand in your silence, you grow more present. That growth is not always visible. It may not be applauded, but it is real and it matters. So when you find someone worthy, when you see a soul that calls to yours, you do not rush. You do not throw yourself into the fire blindly. You step forward with calm courage. You speak your truth. You listen to hers. You build in silence. You trust. You restrain when necessary. Not because you are afraid, but because you know that restraint, when grounded in love, is an act of strength. And when the time is right, when you have built that foundation, you allow passion to flow freely. You bathe in the joy of touch, in the warmth of closeness, in the beauty of intimate union. But even then, your connection is not a fleeting spark. It is a constant flame. You know when to lean in, when to pause, when to reflect, when to release. Because you are not only lovers, you are guardians of each other's virtue. In the world of fleeting relationships, of hollow connections, of love that burns fast and fades faster, your Stoic bond stands apart. It is not flashy, but it is real, not superficial, but profound. Not a performance, but a partnership. And in that partnership, you become more than two people. You become a force. You become someone who can face anything, hardship, temptation, silence, suffering. Because you have learned that your strength does not lie in control of others, but in control of yourself. You have learned that intimacy is not a surrender, but a shared victory. You have learned that real love demands the greatest discipline, not to hold back, but to become more. So I challenge you now, dare to be stoic in your love. Dare to be strong in your silence, calm in your passion, true in your desire. Build relationships not on desperation, but on virtue. Seek not to possess, but to understand. Hold not to own, but to support. Speak not to demand, but to heal. And in that way, you will not only love well, you will become someone worth loving. When the waves crash, when the night is dark, when the storm within rages, you will stand, you will breathe, you will choose, you will act, and through it all, you will remain you, deep, serene, unshaken. That is not a cold life. That is a powerful life. That is a loving life. And that kind of love, grounded in Stoic wisdom, has the power to change you, and to change the world around you. In the end, you may not have all the answers. There will be questions that linger. There will be moments when silence feels too heavy, and words feel too fragile. But in that space, you will find your strength. In that tension, you will find your calling. In that pause, you will build something real. And when you do, when two souls come together not as prey, but as equals, not as conquerors, but as companions, not as fleeting lovers, but as lifelong guardians, you will look back at that ocean, at the darkness, at the sea of unknown, and you will smile because you stepped in, because you faced the storm, because you chose you and you chose each other.